At our tape player profile, Don Buford played with the Orioles 68 through 72, batted .270. How about that? 85 stolen bases and 67 home runs. This guy can do it all. He can run, he can hit for power. 1971 American League All-Star, played in 3 World Series with the Orioles. And of course, Don is part of the 1970 celebration, the 40th anniversary of the Orioles winning the World Series when they defeated Cincinnati 4-1. And what a year that was. 108 wins, and let's see, it was Buford, Blair, and Frank Robinson. Couldn't you get anybody else to play in that outfield?
Well, you know, there was no room. Well, Redmond played quite a bit. He would play and give Frank a day off, or give Paul a day off, or give myself a day off. So it kind of worked 4 outfielders then, pretty much.
This has to be a lot of fun for you and for your teammates, because anytime you can get back together, not only with former teammates, but with players that you had tremendous success with, and thinking back to how good it was then and how it might become again.
Well, you know, it was a lot of fun playing. We had great camaraderie on the ball club, and we didn't let guys make mistakes because we had Kangaroo Court, and if you made a mistake, it cost you a lot of money in Kangaroo Court, so that's the way it went.
You know, Donnie, you got to go back to that era. That was kind of like the beginning of it for the Baltimore Orioles. You guys started to put together some great offensive teams, some great pitching. You got to be the table setter for a couple of pretty good hitters behind you, the Robinsons and Buford and them who hit second, and Brooks. You know, it had to be great being part of that offense.
Well, you know, it was a funny thing that when Earl Weaver wanted me to take a pitch, you know, and get on base, and I said, Earl, if I don't hit, they're not going to walk me, because I said, who hits behind me? He said, Paul Blair. I said, who hits behind him? I said, Frank Robinson. I said, who hits behind him? He said, Boog Powell. I said, you think they're going to walk me to get to those guys? I got to hit.
Well, that year, Boog, of course, hit 35 home runs, was the American League MVP. But again, the pitching was part of that team, and they only had 3 20-game winners that year. What was going on? It was Cuellar and McNally with 24 wins each, and Palmer won 20. And what a difference it has to be when you go to a game not only thinking you can win, but with a guy like that on the mound, you know you're going to win that game.
Well, we felt pretty good every day. We'd go to the ballpark, and we didn't worry about who we were playing against. It was just a matter of saying, hey, somebody get on base, we're going to score some runs. And it wasn't myself, Blair, or someone in the lineup would get on base, boom, 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 we scored 3 or 4 runs. And the pitchers never wanted to come out of the game. In fact, they said when Earl would go out and talk to pitchers and say, hey, you know, it's the 7th, 8th inning, we're a couple runs up, we got guys warming up. And I remember the one time he said that Palmer came out, and Palmer says, who's warming up? And I think it was Pete Ricker, Dick Hall, a couple guys warming up. And he says, well, would you rather they lose it or I lose it? Earl turned around, walking back to the dugout.
You know, Donnie, you got to think about the defense that you guys played. A pretty strong defensive ball game with Blair in center field and Robinson and yourself. You guys could run some balls down. But when Palmer was pitching, did he ever turn around and tell you had to move to the left or the right? Or you guys do it on your own?
I always say, throw the ball. We'll take care of it.
Well, Don, it's always great to see you. We're really looking forward to this 1970 reunion, as well as a luncheon. And the Orioles will be announcing very soon all the details of that luncheon. And here's the information. June 26th, before the O's play the Nats, throwback jerseys that day. It'll actually be the Orioles against the Senators, and I hope they get to see you running around out there in left field. 18 former players, including 4 Hall of Famers, Palmer, Weaver, Brooks, and Frank. The luncheon, all the details coming out, and of course a big pregame ceremony. So always a pleasure to see you. Don't be a stranger. Come on back.
No, quite often. You know, I love it here, and I love the Orioles, and always will come back. Thank you.
That's Don Buford, ladies and gentlemen. He's part of that 1970 World Championship team. This year, the Orioles will be celebrating the 40th anniversary.